Welcome back. You're listening to Protecting Your Family on Talk Radio 790 KABC. I'm your host, attorney Naz Barouti, joined by my lovely co-host, Kerri Kasem. Now, Kerri, we have a special guest that is on the line, and I have to just reveal right now what a huge nerd I am, because I have this show, all of the shows recorded, and this is my guilty pleasure every night. I watch it before I go to bed. We have the host of Strange Inheritances from Fox Business Network, Jamie Colby, on the line. Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Naz, how are you guys doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for your kind words of the show. It's new, and I'm glad you found it.
I mean, I love it, and I've read somewhere, now correct me if I'm wrong, that it's one of the highest rating shows on Fox Business Network right now.
It launched as the highest premiere ever of any show on the Fox Business Network, and the audience seems to be catching on and getting larger. As we go, I think people find something in the stories of families who have inherited strange things and how they deal with it, something that they can relate to, whether it's the legacy of a family or the odd item that they're left behind, whether it's an insect collection that's worth $6 million or whether it's something that people can understand like art or coins, or old books, whatever it is. We all inherit something or leave something at one time or another.
You know what episode kind of really touched me? I just felt, I don't know, I almost wanted to cry, was the episode with the man who had collected the antique cars, and he was just buying property to store the cars. I was so emotional when I watched that episode. I don't know why.
I mean, they all went to a museum, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah. I thought that was a really great way to pay tribute.
That episode is interesting because some of them went to a museum, and then the museum ended up selling some of the cars.
Yeah.
But Mr. LeMay of the LeMay Car Museum in Tacoma, Washington, had never sold any of the over 3,000 cars that he had collected. He had never sold one of them. They were all in pristine condition. He loved them so much. And so the family was very hurt when he donated them to the museum in his lifetime, and then they ended up selling them. So when he passed, they opened their own museum, interestingly, using one of the 50 properties that they found he had bought just to store the cars. It was an old Catholic boys' school, and that's where the LeMay Car Museum, the family museum, is now, with over $100 million worth of automobiles that people can go, so they're sharing their inheritance with the public. But the strange part of that one is how many cars there were, and I think each of these families learned that whoever left them something was passionate about it, and he certainly had a passion for cars.
What about the bug collection? Now, that's odd. I mean, really? Who's going to... I mean, I guess if I got a bug collection, it's, gee, thanks. Where do I put this?
I thought it was odd, and I thought it was creepy, and I hesitated to even go see it. But I got to tell you, by the end of the week of spending it with the family, and that was in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and that's the May, no relation to LeMay, Bug Museum. They opened it up to the public, and when I could see, with over 100,000 different insect specimens collected over 3 generations, many extinct, little kids' faces coming in and going, wow, that's a foot-long walking stick bug, or that's a beetle that can lift 600 times its weight. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, for a museum, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I'm somebody who won't kill a bug. I take them outside, all of them.
And I've seen that happen, Jamie. Like, there was a cricket, and she was like, don't step on or it was a snail. It was a snail.
A snail or a cricket. I take the crickets out of my house, too, before the kitty kills them.
Yeah. But, one story
you must take very good care of your clients, too, then, if you're that good to the cricket.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's Kerri here.
Kerri.
I know
okay.
We sound alike. Sorry about that.
One episode that really touched me was the man who basically left everything to the 2 actors and kind of gave them hope for a new life. One of them was suffering a terrible illness. The other one was an actor, and he kind of lost his passion for acting. That one was really sad. He had no other family members to leave it to, and he left them this fortune. That one was really touching too. But I want to know, which one is your favorite out of all of the stories that have aired so far?
Well, as a journalist, when I was doing that particular episode of 2 kind of washed up anchors who get a letter saying, you're a winner, like the Publishers Clearinghouse, and you're like, come on, how many magazines do I really have to buy to win? they really thought it was a scam because the man that left them the money, a hermit from Illinois, barely left the house but happened to love their TV shows. They'd never met him. So when they went to Illinois, and I hope someday this happens to all of us, we get a letter from someone who enjoys our work, and lo and behold, they leave us in their will. They call us a friend, and it ends up we get $500,000 each. That was a pretty cool episode, I have to say. I never expected to see that on this 25-state, 26-family tour that we did this year over 8 months, finding these stories and doing these episodes. But I wrestled an alligator. I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Someone inherited 2,500 alligators. That episode hasn't aired yet, but when do you get the chance to do that?
Wow.
You know?
Okay, wait, hold on. I love alligator. I love all animals, and my friend had an alligator, but he taped his little mouth shut when I went to hold the alligator.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, but I thought it was so mean. I'm like, poor little guy, But I guess they can their bite's pretty ferocious. What was that like?
They're natural-born killers, and when we went to Gatorama, which is in Florida, near Fort Myers, they inherited a gator park from their family, and they have all these alligators and crocodiles. It was hatching season. So in the episode, people will see these little baby alligators. They burst out of their little shells, and they were hatching in my hands.
Oh.
But the minute it came out, when I stuck my finger in its mouth, it tried to twist my whole body upside down.
Oh, my God.
Little baby.
It's
Wow.
an instinct that they're killers. So I'm all for taping the mouth shut. I was told that does not hurt them. What hurts them is when they become shoes. That's bad.
Yes,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
that is bad. There was a man, did you see this in Costa Rica, that had an alligator? I don't know if he's like 20 foot long, and he saved him. He had been shot, and he saved the little guy, brought the little guy back to life, and then they became friends. When I'm talking friends, they would play with each other and roll around, and he'd swim with him, and he'd swim on top of him, and they'd play on the ground together, and he'd massage the alligator, or the crocodile, which is even worse than an alligator, and they started doing shows. And he became very famous. If you look him up, you won't believe it. But it was the first. Yet, like you said, they're natural-born killers. This one was domesticated.
Wow, Jamie, I think Kerri just came up with your next show for Fox.
And what,
No thanks.
Jamie and alligators.
No, I'm not thinking it's for me. But I'll tell you, one of the episodes that will be airing, in the next week or so, is about a wildlife sanctuary. This woman was a volunteer. She loved animals so much, and so many of us do. And oftentimes people do buy tigers, baby tigers,
Yes.
and alligators, and they think they could keep them in their apartment. And so what happens is when animal control comes, because they call up and they go, oh, my God, I was just attacked by my bear, and they need a place to take them, and they don't want to take them to zoos. This particular guy, Pete, this rough and tumble guy in Florida, opened up a wildlife sanctuary called the Octagon Sanctuary, and this woman who was like 30 years younger than he was came as a volunteer, fell in love with the animals, and he knew that if he had left the animals, he said to his kids, they would euthanize all the animals. So he married Lori so that she could inherit the sanctuary, and she did.
Excellent.
And now she has 100 lions, tigers, bears, and baboons, and more.
Oh, wow.
And in the episode, she just talks to us about Pete's love for the animals really wore off on her. She wants to save all the animals, and you could see a lot of them were really mistreated. And she has such
sad.
love for them, but when they see her coming toward the cage, or the pen that they live in, there's true love in their eyes. But then when she says to me, it's dinner time, and she gives me 100 pounds of meat or chicken to slip through this little section to feed the bears, and their teeth come out and they growl. Not so pretty. Not so pretty.
Kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say a little bit.
Jamie, you are not only licensed as an attorney in California, New York, Florida, and the District of Columbia, but you're a reporter, and you're very accomplished. And I'm in awe when I see you go throughout the country and share these stories. You're doing a service to a lot of people because it brings up the issue of, hey, you need to get your estate planning documents in order, and the things that you love and the legacy that you want to leave behind cannot be left behind without writing it out or having people that you trust to kind of implement your dreams and your goals for the future.
And that's the one thing when people ask me, okay, put your lawyer hat on now and tell us the one thing you learned that you want to share. because really we didn't want to do a clinical show about estate planning. We wanted to show it through the eyes of these families, to not only go through ancestry and talk about why people collect things and why Civil War memorabilia may mean something to the next generation, but what families deal with. Sometimes it's a benefit to get an inheritance, and sometimes it's a huge burden. It could be a cash-strapped family business that you feel obligated to continue. It's not always cash and real estate. So the one thing I say is, when I walked into these homes, I was, Jamie, just a human being with compassion and kindness, because they had dealt with difficult issues. But when I think about myself as the professional, and I did practice law for many years, please, if you're going to leave something for someone, tell them that you're going to leave it. Let them know what you want them to do with it, and be very specific about those things, because the biggest challenge I saw from the people I interviewed, the heirs, was trying to figure out, of the 150 antique tractors that Dad collected, which ones would he want us to keep, and which ones would he be okay that we sell? Because what the heck are we going to do with 150 tractors, even though we are farmers?
Yeah, and I definitely hear the passion in your voice and the stories that you share, and that's what Kerri and I try to do every week on this show, is to, bring up stories of, protect yourself. And Kerri went through it herself with her own father, Casey Kasem.
No, I did, and it's not just inheriting things. It's like, what do you want to do if you're sick and dying? Is there a DNR, do not resuscitate?
You know what? Yeah, that's important, all of that. And, it's interesting, Kerri, because last week I got an email, and let's face it, we connected over social media, which is a wonderful thing about it, and I love that you're doing your show and you're asked me to participate. I got an email from John LaLanne, Jack LaLanne's son.
Yes.
And who doesn't remember your dad or his dad and the contributions that they made? And when you think about the responsibility that you have for continuing the legacy and continuing to make sure people don't forget who your dad was and what he contributed, even though these families don't have famous backgrounds or names or particular talents, let's say, their family story is as important, I learned, as any of ours. I was so touched, too. Elaine LaLanne is still alive and has a perfect golf swing in her 90s.
That is amazing. I mean, that guy was old when I was a kid.
I know,
Jack
but could
LaLanne.
he wear a jumpsuit?
Yes,
like
he could.
And
the push-ups that the man could do in his 80s, and I mean, it was unbelievable. He was more fit than people in their 20s.
Inspirational.
Yes.
All these people, and so that's what this assignment. It was so different from covering a tsunami or being down at Katrina or doing a presidential election coverage. This was the real deal. These families are real people all across America who were so open about their situations. They made me laugh. They made me cry. The Orbison kids really made me cry when they played Anything You Want, You've Got It. Anything You Dream, You Got It. Whatever it was. Anything at all, you got it. I just lost it,
Yeah.
Roy Orbison, wow.
I know. Here's a quick story, real quick. I know we have to go soon, but I grew up with Tom Petty's kids, and I was in their house when the Traveling Wilburys were there. So you had Roy Orbison, George Harrison, Tom Petty, and there was another one. And I remember going, ew, old guys. And I was just thinking, and the only person that I was, when walked in the room was Annie Lennox. And I remember going, oh my God, Annie Lennox. And I just interviewed her for the Grammys this year, and I told her that story.
That's so awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Jamie Colby.
It's very cool.
Jamie Colby from Strange Inheritances. You can catch the show Strange Inheritances on Fox Business Network Mondays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, and this Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Jamie, good luck on the show, and please come back. We'd love to have you again, and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, the good news is, after only a month, we've been renewed for another 26
Oh my God, yes! That's awesome. Yes, I can't wait.
So more to come, and
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care, ladies.
You too. Bye. This is Protecting Your Family on Talk Radio 790 KABC. And when we come back, we have Logan Clark to tell us about the bells. We'll be right back.